good, as a light heavyweight. So was there politics in that? Probably, but yeah, man. Anyways, let's see, what else do we have? Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. That is kind of why I wanted to do the podcast, just to talk about that. The knot on Cardi B's head, man, that took me back to my middle school days. I remember I fought a dude named Eric, and I'll never forget this shit, man. We were in middle school. I was 6th grade, and how it started was, I remember I was just talking shit, like a super mess, just to him. And then he started talking mess back, and it was just like to the point where we had the same class, right? So we planned it out, like when we were gonna fight. No. I take that back. It was, I pushed him. Or I hit him, and I talked shit about his girl. Okay, I remember this like it was fucking 100 years ago, because it was. So don't quote me on it. I know I was talking shit though. I initiated it, because that's kind of what I was doing back in school. I was just talking kind of shit in 6th grade, man. I learned a lot. I remember I talked to this girl, and she was like a girl with the ass, but she had a trash face. And I remember I said I would have a bag over her face and fuck her, and she beat my ass in that class, man. That shit was crazy. Yeah. So I fought him, and I remember like it was PE, and then he walked up to me. This is like, we were in LA, and this was like this huge ass field in middle school, and fucking he walked up to me, like set it up, and obviously take off your stuff and get it all, get it going. So it was a decent fight, but I got my ass kicked. I'm not even gonna lie, I got my ass kicked. 6th grade, it was like, that was after my because I moved straight from Linda Vista, straight from like kind of like a middle class suburban-ish kind of elementary school, and like moving into a LA, a ghetto ass, trash ass middle school like Henry Clay. And I didn't know how to fight at all, man. I was getting my ass kicked left and right by that dude. Like, I didn't fight too much, but that, I only had 2 fights, minus the girl kicking my ass in school. I only had 2 fights that year, that semester. So, and it was because I had a rematch with him, because that's when I trained and everything. But I'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, he beat me up, and I had this big knot on my head, and the knot just, I remember going home and like putting ice on it, and just my dad asked what happened, and I said I hit my head. And that knot was just haunting me all week. People were just talking shit, because this was on, thank God it was on a Friday, so I had the weekend to like heal, but it was still a little showy on Monday, and people were talking their shit. They said I had an impregnated forehead and all that, and I just took it as anger, and so therefore I fought him again. And that's when I had like dude, I swear this was like UFC. I had, time to train, let's say 2 weeks, right? Because I don't remember how long. I had 2 weeks to train, and fucking, I remember I met up with this one dude who was, we called him Buddy, and he would teach me how to fight. He would teach me how to like hold my jaw. Like when somebody tries to sock me in the jaw, like how to like keep it, like close my jaw so I don't, my jaw isn't open and I'm fucking, getting knocked out. So, which is why UFC fighters, if people don't know that, who are under a rock like I was, if people don't know that, that's why boxers have mouthpieces and like tighten up their jaw when they get hit in the cheek or on the jaw, because they don't want to get knocked out. So did that, and then I learned how to take shots to the stomach. Nothing about my forehead, nothing about taking shots to the head, paws, or anything like that. So I trained up. I remember the night before the fight, I went on a jog around my neighborhood. I was in a suburban neighborhood, right? So like I ran around for a little jog around the little cul-de-sac that I was in. And the next day, it went down. I remember I was talking so much shit, dude. It was that Friday. Well, I think it was a Friday. And I remember we had first period together, me and him. And I was like, hey, it's not fight day. It's not Friday. It's fight day. Blah, blah, blah. Just talking all sorts of shit, right? And just to kind of picture how this dude looked, just picture Smokey from Friday, okay? And I say that because he literally looked like him, and his cousin, he lived on the same block where they shot Friday at, right? So that was hilarious. And I was the laugh of the stock at that time too. 6th grade, I embarrassed myself so much. So I did that, and then PE again, we ended up fighting. So this time it was all pre-ordered and everything. Man, everything that they taught me, that Buddy taught me, I didn't learn shit as soon as I got in that fight. This motherfucker dropped me again, beat my ass. I had a big ass knot on my head. Fucking Jesus Christ, man, that shit was wild, dude. Um, and he got it. He got it, man. I just remember like fucking he beat my ass, and then we went to the liquor store together right after school. Just me walking with a big ass knot on my head again, and that was crazy. But I say that to say that's exact how that knot on Cardi's head looked like how my knot looked on my head, and I know how it felt, but it wasn't her fault or Nicki that did it. From what was told, it was like security that did that shit. So. How I feel about that, I try to bring in a little laughter because that does kind of piss me off, man. How, a fashion show, a race like blacks or like Dominicans or whatever you are that's dark is humiliating to me for that to happen. I don't like BET award fights. I just feel like that shit just is so immature to me, Yeah, Cardi is going to get her ratings up, and this is like WWE and shit like that, but that's just because of the world we're in right now, all right? I feel like pretty soon, like, all this chaos and this, talking shit against one another is going to stop, and then it's going to be like, yo, like, people are really about that action, so cool off. But with this, we kind of show, like, Cardi was really about that action. I just don't like how, I'm the type of person, I don't like people humiliating themselves. I don't like people, like, going out and just, like, having a bad rep for that, because we don't know if endorsement deals are still going to be on the table. We don't know if if respect or sponsorships are gone from that. We got to think, like, this is still, even though we have the internet, still, like, you're getting watched like a scope to make money, at least. If you really don't care about money, that means obviously you don't have shit to lose. But I didn't like the fact that it had to come down to that. Had it just been like a square up at a private event, like a house party or something, that I can understand, right? Because you got to fight. I'm not saying don't fight, but I'm not condoning to fight, let alone in a public fucking area. Jesus. How many times do you feel like, how many times do you think they're gonna let you back to the fashion, to that fashion event? And that goes for both Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. I feel like they lost professionalism, respect. But however, the fans, they're fans of gladiators. So that's just history that shows that, So I feel like, I didn't like how the whole thing went down. It was just real ratchet to me, and I don't like ratchet shit. I'm not a fan of ratchet shit. I used to be. I'm not gonna lie. I used to be back in fucking high school and obviously going into college days, but as growing up, I'm 27 years old. I'm just like, dog, like, why are you guys doing that shit? Like, what's the point? So is that. And you know what? I honestly, since I don't really have news and I really don't want to talk about news because it's just so much dark shit that's going on. The Cardi B, I'll just wrap it up by saying the Cardi B and Nicki Minaj situation. Where I see this going is I see Nicki coming out with a diss. She's probably gonna obviously talk more about it on Queen Radio. And I see Cardi gaining reputation as a musician, as a talent, because this is no different than, the Murder Inc. days and G Unit days. This is no different than the Shady, the Aftermath days, D12 days, God, the Jim Jones, the Dipset days, the fucking fucking state property days. Like, this is no different than that. I see that. Hip hop community shows that, however, how I feel about Nicki Minaj right now is she's way past that. I feel like for her to backtrack and try to get on Cardi B's level, it's like she's making up for the times that she missed being the quote unquote Barbie doll, being the perfect girl, not perfect in a way, but her true color started to show, like an American Idol. I remember she did like a documentary where she was like, you seen how her personality was. You seen just how much of a boss she was. She just didn't really play that shit. And now I just feel like she should be over that. Being in your 30s or however old you are, I feel like you should be past that moment. I feel like after American Idol, that should have been like it. That's should have like closed the casket on how you were as a girl from New York. And people have a past, and I'm not saying that that's, anything, but I just feel like you're stooping down to Cardi B's level when you don't have to. I feel like your position of power, you're beyond Young Money. You have your own brand to where, like, people are going to follow you. But, like, even doing songs with Tekashi, that's creative. Doing songs with Eminem is obviously creative. And for you to, like, stoop down to that level And obviously Cardi started it, but for you to like level off and mouth off like that on Queen Radio and all that kind of shit, it's just like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, if you were in your 20s and all that, that's understandable. But it's like, you're damn near on the verge of retiring. And that's honestly not a good look for Nicki, because she got a shoe thrown at her. So imagine how the fans are going to take that. Imagine how many girls, went from Nicki to Cardi. This is war, people. That's how war works. You know what I mean? Like, when somebody when you have people who are in the middle, they're going to choose a side. It's no different than a UFC fight. It's no different than a boxing fight or a baseball event. If a side is that good and they get that much respect, and the side is just constantly losing, kind of like how Muhammad Ali, when he came back, started losing all those fights, like, the reputation slowly dwindles and people find a new person to rock with, and they found Cardi, and Cardi had to do it in a David and Goliath kind of way, and it's fucked up. But like I said, the bottom line, I felt like that should have been at home. Cardi should have saved that energy and then sent Nicki Minaj a letter, gave her a note, under the table or whatever the case may be, and said, meet me at this address at this time, and just gave her that work, But yeah, like I said, I think that's going to fuck up Cardi B's reputation professionally, because she's on a roll and she's doing so much good. That's going to fuck up her money, in a way. Maybe not all the way, she'll still be good, but that's going to fuck it up. So with that, I'm going to talk about the other shit that I don't think I really got into detail with. On a couple of weeks ago on my birthday weekend, I went out to Vegas, and it was so much fun. So much fun. I turned 27. I did a Snapchat or Instagram story on in Vegas. So if you haven't checked that out, it's on my IG. It's under the JO Show. God, it was such a blur. Driving out there, smoking way too much, drinking way too much, seeing a friend with a friend, and trying to think of like specifics. I guess because it was more chill than anything, but it was a lot of weird shit that goes on. Because Vegas always reminds me of like, it's always in the middle between Texas and Californians, Like, I feel like you get that country vibe, that country western vibe, because it's desert. And so, like, people out there just look like shriveled up in a way, And I say that out of love. People don't take it into disrespect. But they, it's just, and they're so chill too. It's like you get that kind of vibe. And so I went out there with a date, and I had a good time, and the messed up part was I was so wasted because we went to go see her friends that she knew, and this guy gave us a big ass, cup of just Jameson and Coke. And I just remember just everything was such a blur. Everything was a slideshow, from taking the Uber back to the hotel, passing out in the Uber. Like, one thing I'm realizing about myself is I cannot consume that much, because I would end up passing out. I remember doing that at times during work, when I used to work back in retail, and fucking just doing stuff like that. And I kid you not, I was working on a cruise ship, and they might hate me for this, but I remember I consumed alcohol and was steering a ship. All right. I worked 2 cruise ship jobs, and on one of them I was steering a ship, and fucking, I was like on edibles. I was on everything, and driving a cruise ship, the captain never knew. I was keeping it content, cool. Cause my thing is like, I have to get home. Just like when I'm driving, I have to get home. But I stopped doing all that shit, cause I realized, like, people do die in those situations. But, I remember just doing that. So when I drink like that, I just pass out, especially if I drink way too much, cause I can go over the top. And so I did that. And I just remember like telling the girl that I was with, I was like, go get another girl, baby, go get another girl, like in the hotel room saying that. And she was passed out herself. Like, we were so gone. And then I remember the next day, like, she wanted a threesome, that was kind of how it went down. So it was like a night that I thought was going to go away, but it didn't, because we were just so gone. But Sunday, which was my birthday, that's when it was fun. August 19th. That's when I had a lot of fun, and we, did a lot of good things, like went out to eat. And, I remember we went out to eat. We went to this restaurant. This guy gave us our food. And then fucking 10 minutes later, I got a big ass burger, didn't even finish it. The waiter takes our plates, burger's still there. Didn't even give us a to-go box or offer it or anything. Just threw away our shit. And then so the chick I was with went off on him about it. This guy tried to come back talking about, hey, how's everything going, guys? You know, are you paying now? She was like, what the fuck? Like, where's our food? And he looked at us like, we fucking, like he caught a body and we figured it out. And he was like, oh, no. I'll make you guys another one. I was like, what the fuck, dude? I ate 2 bites of my burger and you're just going to take it? Like I must have been on Adderall or some shit. But, or just trying to get rid of us so he can get tipped, you know? That's probably what they do in Vegas too, you know? Just fucking show up, you know, fucking waiter comes up, expects you to hurry up so other people could come because it's crowded. So he takes your food. But it's just like, dude, you got to ask for a to-go box. But I would just claim he's on Adderall in my head, you know, in my stories. He's definitely doing that. I got to stop watching the Joe Budden podcast, man. I had to do like a whole spree. It was like a seasonal thing where I had to listen to everything. And I think that I did hear, what, did I talk about that last week? Because, yeah, I think I did talk about the Brilliant Idiots versus Joe Budden. Yeah, I did talk about that. Okay, never mind. Khabib or Conor, I'm watching that on YouTube. Conor's going to definitely take that over. Conor's definitely going to take that over. The only time Conor won't and Khabib is going to strategize is if Conor burns himself out towards the 4th and 5th round. And that's when Khabib is going to take over. So Khabib is great with the ground and pound. I think that he's going to let Conor, because Conor's so fucking, he hits so hard. He's going to try to stay away from Conor and try to burn him out. That's the only way Khabib is going to win, is if he burns Conor out. Because that's how Floyd won, you know, to be honest. I think Conor's just great and he's just so powerful and he hits so hard. You know, you have to really get him tired in order for you to win, you know. Yeah, so I went to Vegas that weekend, and I say that because I went to Vegas again the weekend after, and that was to, I'm sorry guys, that was to see a different girl, okay? Because the girl I was dating in Vegas at the time, we broke it off, and so the girl I was going to see, just to hang out with, maybe not do anything, just to see, just to hang out with, because we always, you know, we would always have conversations. Back when I was in Texas, she was in San Antonio, and I just thought it was cool just to actually see her again. You know, I remember going out to San Antonio to see her, and I explained that in the previous podcast episode. And so I went to go out there, and I'm bringing this story up because I need to know where women's heads are at, and 2, let this be a lesson to guys, young guys especially, who are, you know, pussy hounds. Went out to Vegas with my boy. All right, I'm not going to mention the name. We just went out to Vegas. And this was probably better than my birthday weekend, to be honest. We went out to Vegas. We took back roads to get there too, so that was pretty cool. I never knew Vegas you could take back roads to get out there quicker. So we did that, and just looked country, you know, desert, looked like places we could take pictures at. And listening to metal music. Obviously, we always listen to metal music together, so we were listening to some shit, practicing stuff for the guitar, or just gaining ideas for the music, obviously. And then